though now what is happening is the symbolic justice. You cannot call it a complete justice. After all, according to the government figures, 2,733 Sikhs were killed in Delhi alone. So at least 15 to 20,000 people must have been involved in the killing of them. So if 5,000-6,000 had been punished and the conspirators and the big leaders also had been punished, then we can call it a complete justice. Now punishing a few of them and punishing one of the conspirators is a symbolic justice. But at this time, even the symbolism means a lot. The symbolic justice even means a lot. And this is a very, very big victory, I would call. This is a big victory, not only for the victims, not only for the Sikhs, but this is for the whole country. We have been able to show that in our country nobody is above law. And a very message and a warning which Justice Muralidhar has mentioned in a judgment also, in a way, that is a warning to those people who commit these kind of crimes when they are in power. सत्ता में होके सत्ता के नशे में जब वो ऐसे जुर्म करते हैं तो they need to rise now, that maybe our old days we have to spend in jail.
So all of these rights have been mentioned in the judgment. Kandhamal, Mumbai, Godhra, and Justice Muralidhar and Goel have raised concerns that crimes involving political patronage, and genocide, there are no specific laws in India. You are heavily relying on Evidence Act and the CRPC and a few sections of the IPC. Do you think now that we have to have a specific law for such crimes?
That is true, because you see, originally if we see our laws are sufficient, but unfortunately there are so many loopholes in those laws, which these political people and the police, they exploit it and they do not take action. So therefore a law which is needed, it should be such a tight law that no loopholes are left. An attempt was made during the previous UPA government. An attempt was made to make a special law for the purpose of these kind of mob violence and killing. Now, I was also taken as a member of the draft, as advisor to that committee, which were drafting the law. And unfortunately, I tell you, in spite of my insistence and advice, do not go to that extent. We are not a legislator. We will not, it will go to the parliament. I mean, the people who were drafting it, they didn't agree, they make it so strict कि वो आगे बढ़ा ही नहीं, वहीं पे खत्म हो गया. We definitely need a law. We need a law not only for religious minorities. Moment you confine it only to religious minorities, the same fate it will meet. What fate the last law has met. It has to be cover all mob violence.
So there's other cases in the trial courts right now. The Jagdish statue case is going on, where Abhishek Verma, the middleman, has recorded his evidence against him. Do you think this particular case, although the facts of the cases are very different, will have any relevance on those high-profile cases?
This will definitely have. One is that it will definitely have the effect on the cases of 1984, but not only on the case of 1984. The cases of all kind of mob violence, this judgment is going to have effect on. The two judgments which has come, one is of Justice Gaba, which talks of the unlawful assembly. Any member of unlawful assembly, knowing it fully well that what's happening, when that is very important. That says that when the member knows that what is happening, whether he himself has actually killed a person or actually set it on fire, is immaterial. When he is a part of the unlawful assembly, knowing it fully well, assembly is committing these kind of crimes, he is also liable. So that judgment, R.K. Gaba judgment and this judgment. In fact, that's what I have said many places, that this makes the case against Kamal Nath also very strong.
So coming back to Gaba's judgment and Kamal Nath's thing, in the Nanavati Commission, it clearly mentions the presence of Kamal Nath, but the commission says that there's lack of evidence that he was inciting a mob. How will you take Kamal Nath's case forward, because there's no charge sheet right now? how will you fight a case against Kamal Nath? Even though you have a Delhi High Court judgment which looks into this aspect, but there is no charge sheet, there is no prosecution right now. But how will you fight a case against Kamal Nath?
First of all, there is evidence of Kamal Nath's presence over there. The reporter who was present and who has seen the Kamal Nath leading, he gave his affidavit to Mishra Commission in 1985, Sanjay Suri. In 1985, he was that time with Indian Express. Later on, he became the bureau chief of Indian Express, and thereafter he came from England, all the way from England in the 2000 to give his evidence before Nanavati Commission also. So apart from that, there are evidence of other witnesses that Kamal Nath was present. He was inciting the mob. Now, police report also mentions about the presence of Kamal Nath. That Kamal Nath was present there. Faced with all this kind of evidence, Kamal Nath had to admit his presence. But he said, I was trying to stop the mob. Now that part, Justice Gabba's judgment clearly apply over here. A member of an unlawful assembly, investigation should be conducted. What was he doing? Merely his saying that मैं तो रोक रहा था उनको. अरे अगर रोक रहे थे तो आपके सामने आपकी प्रेजेंस में जो क्राइम्स हुए हैं, 2 सिखों को वहाँ पे जिंदा जलाया है, गुरुद्वारे को जलाया है, वो कैसे हुआ? So this at least need to be investigated and inquired.
Sir, many in the room would have been too young to remember what happened in 1984. But you once told me that how you had a difficult time reaching your own home the day Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated. That was on a bike and that your wife was expecting. Could you share some of those details?
I was in Delhi that time, and I shifted to Delhi from Punjab. I did my law from Chandigarh University Law College. 81 I started my practice from Delhi, and that's the time I shifted. 83 I got married. My wife was working at the Ludhiana University, and so she took up a job here. I was in the High Court when we came to know about that Mrs. Gandhi has been shot. Around 11 o'clock, everybody knew in the High Court that she is no more. Everybody. So there was no work, no courts were working. The judges were only giving a judgment. Around noon time, तो लगभग High Court भी खाली हो गई थी. No one was there. So I went. My wife's office that time was in Narayana. So I went to my wife's office around 2:33. So मैंने to pick her up. So in that office they told कि हमारा तो office वो 5 बजे बंद होता है. तो I said थोड़ा अर्ली कहते आप 4 साढ़े 4 at least okay. But so I waited there around. I hanged around there. So that shows how normal was the city. Though no doubt people had grief, वो थोड़ी उदास थे, Prime Minister assassinated, but the things were normal as far as. So I picked her up about 4:35. My office was in Connaught Place. I went to my office, और वहाँ ऑफिस में जाके मेरे I had 2-3 friends from Punjab staying with me. तो मैंने ऑफिस में उन्होंने बताया कि जी वो ऑलरेडी घर के लिए निकल चुके हैं and they are going back to Punjab. So I told my wife we should go and stop them because Haryana will not be safe. Delhi will be safe, nothing can happen in Delhi. So it should be around 7:30 around that time. So I left from Connaught Place, Janpat pe tha mera office, and I was staying in South Extension, Part 1. My normal route used to be Janpat, then Ames Crossing, South Ex, and then Part 1. While I was going there, on Janpat and Rajpath crossing, वो opposite side से एक गाड़ी आई, उन्होंने मुझे हाथ दिया. He stopped me. So I stopped. One gentleman came running, and he said, सरदार जी आगे मत जाना, आगे सरदारों को मार रहे हैं. So at that time on the Prithviraj Road crossing, the violence was going on. They were taking out the Sikhs and were beating them. So I turned my motorcycle towards India Gate. ये लोधी रोड से होके कोटला से होके, most of the traffic was diverted. So I reached my house. When I reached my house in there, my landlords were standing outside. उस वक्त थोड़ा थोड़ा अंधेरा हो ही गया था, तो वो देवर सरप्राइज, जैसे आप कहाँ से आए, कि तो आगे आग लगी हुई है चारों तरफ। मैंने कहा हम इधर से आए हैं। कहते कोटला से, कहते पीछे देखो। When we looked back, the Gurdwara was burning. And we passed in front of that Gurdwara, and until today I don't know how we passed. How we passed that Gurdwara and without being hurt. So we were at home, we remained at home on 1st November. Even till that time also I didn't know the magnitude of this. On 1st November, I was telling you this because you have mentioned that most of them, they do not know. On 1st November, I called up my uncle. My uncle, he was a very rich man of Delhi. So I called up my uncle. So I requested him, to send somebody to take us out. And he says, this is happening in whole of Delhi. No one is safe. Even this place is not safe. Be inside, don't come out on the road. So that is the time I realized the magnitude of this. We remained at home. On second morning, mob attacked our house. Our next house belonged to a Sardar family. He was a Sikh transporter. He has built a new house, and that was the most beautiful house in the area. So they attacked that house. वहाँ पे वो जो हमें दूध सप्लाई करता था, बिकॉज वी वर टेनेंट, ज़्यादा लोग जानते नहीं थे, सुबह जाना शाम को आना, वो दूध वाले ने कह दिया इस घर में भी सरदार रहता है. तो दे अटैक्ड माई हाउस. व्हेन दे अटैक्ड माई हाउस, दैट्स द टाइम वी लाइट. वो हमारे लैंडलॉर्ड ने, वो बाहरी से हिंदू फैमिली थी, उन्होंने बैक डोर से वो सरदार फैमिली को भी अपने घर पे लाए, उनको भी छुपाया. तो हमें अपने घर के अंदर छुपाया उनको. मुझे और मेरी वाइफ को वो लैंडलॉर्ड की डॉटर इन लॉ, शी वॉज ए जर्मन लेडी, तो उसने सेकंड, हम वी वर ऑन फर्स्ट फ्लोर, सेकंड फ्लोर पे हमें ले गई. सेकंड फ्लोर पे जाके उसने, वो ऊपर लोफ्ट होती है परछत्ती रजाइयाँ रखने के लिए, हमें वहाँ उसमें अंदर बंद करके आगे रजाइयाँ रख के लॉक लगा दिया. तो द मॉब केम अप, दे गॉट होल्ड ऑफ दिस लैंडलॉर्ड सन, क्योंकि उसके दाढ़ी थी, उन्हें सोचा यही है, उसको पकड़ के उसको मारने लगे. तो वो लैंड लेडी ने कहा जी तो मेरा बेटा है, नेबर्स ने कहा जी तो इनका बेटा है. तो आगे आके सारे देख ढूंढ के गए. तो इन द मीन टाइम वेल दिस वाज गोइंग ऑन, वो सिख ट्रांसपोर्टर का हाउस था, उसके आगे नेक्स्ट हाउस एक गारमेंट फैक्ट्री थी. उसने कहा कि अगर इस गल को आग लगी रही तो मेरी फैक्ट्री जल जाएगी. वो जाके मेन रोड से, रिंग रोड से कोई आर्मी का ट्रक जा रहा था, उसको ले आया. जब वो आर्मी का ट्रक आया तो ये वो जो सिख फैमिली थी वो भी उसमें गए. वो ट्रक चलने लगा तो उसने, हमारे वो लैंडलॉर्ड की जो डॉटर इन लॉ थी, उसने कहा आप भी निकल जाओ, यू आर नॉट सेफ हियर. तो हम भी ट्रक के पीछे, लिटरली आई रैन विदाउट माई टर्बन and with just chappals, and I got into the truck. My wife was expecting that time. She couldn't get into the truck. तो मीन टाइम वो हमारे लैंडलॉर्ड के लड़के ने कहा कि यू कम इनटू माय कार, आई टेक यू. तो कार में बैठ गए. उन्होंने आर्मी के ट्रक के साथ साथ जाके एम्स क्रॉसिंग में हमें ले गए. तो ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंसेज में उनकी डॉक्टर थी. वहाँ पे फिर आई कॉल्ड माई फ्रेंड्स. वो दो पायलट थे इंडियन एयरलाइन में, कैप्टन गैरे एंड कैप्टन मल्ली. एक तो उनमें राजपूत था, दूसरा सरदार था जिसके कटे हुए थे बाल, वो साकेत में रहते थे. तो दे केम इन देयर कार. जो रास्ते में आते हुए सर्वे करते आए कि रास्ते में मॉब कहाँ कहाँ नहीं है. वो सर्वे करके एम्स में वहाँ पे आए. उन्होंने मुझे वहाँ कार के नीचे फ्लोर पे लटा के ऊपर ब्लैंकेट रखे, किसी को पता ना चले. वो रख के वो वहाँ पे साकेत में उस रूट से लेके गए जहाँ पे मॉब नहीं था. और उन्होंने क्या किया, एक आधी जगह पे मॉब ने रोकने की कोशिश की तो उसने फुल स्पीड पे कार कर दी और वो साकेत हमें लेके गए. साकेत में उनके पीछे वाला हाउस, वो कैप्टन गैरे के पीछे वाला हाउस, वो एक आर्मी कर्नल ने बनाया था. बहुत बढ़िया घर बनाया था. वो गैरे की वाइफ हमें कहती थी कि इतनी अच्छी क्रॉकरी है इनकी, कटलरी इतनी अच्छी है, इतना अच्छा इन्होंने बनाया है. तो वो वो बैठी, वो गैरे की वाइफ रो रही थी, कहती एक चम्मच तक नहीं छोड़ा इन लोगों ने, उनके घर का एक चम्मच नहीं छोड़ा। और कैप्टन गैरे वॉज ऑन फ्लाइट ऑन दैट डे, तो ही वॉज रिपेंटिंग, ही से हैड आई बीन देयर, मैं घर ना जाने देता, इसके आगे खड़े हो जाता। बल्कि ऐसे लोग भी हैं। और उसके बाद वो सेकंड की बात है, सेकंड नाइट, होल नाइट कैप्टन गैरे वॉज ऑन द रोड्स। उसने अपनी लेन का एक घर नहीं चलाने दिया, एक घर जला रहे थे आगे जाके, तो उसने मॉब को पकड़ पकड़ के बाहर निकाला। जब मॉब और आ गया, उधर से एक आर्मी की जीप आ गई, उसने आर्मी का वो कैप्टन था, उसको बोला गोली चला। वो कहता मुझे ऑर्डर नहीं है। कहता ये ऑर्डर है? कहता व्हाट काइंड ऑफ आर्मी मैन यू आर, ये जो हो रहा है ये लॉ है? तो वो आर्मी के वो कैप्टन ने ही जस्ट फायर्ड वन राउंड इन द एयर, तो सारा मॉब भाग गया। बल्कि मॉब की कमिटमेंट इतनी थी बस कि एक गोली से वहाँ पे 200 आदमी था, वो भाग गया। और वो कैप्टन गैरे अकेला ही कंट्रोल कर रहा था 100 लोगों को। तो जन उसके बाद वो कैप्टन गैरे ने 5 नवंबर को अपनी ड्यूटी लगाई फ्लाइट पे, 5 या 6 को। तो ही टुक अस ऑन द इन द एयरलाइन कार। वहाँ पे जाके वो एरोप्लेन वॉज फुल, देयर वॉज नो सीट। तो उसने इंसिस्ट किया एयरलाइन के स्टाफ को कि ये टिकटें दो, मैं ले रहा हूँ, तो ये तो जाएंगे। वो कहते सीट नहीं है। कहता मैं देखता हूँ, एक वो कॉकपिट में सुपरनरी सीट होती है, वो सुपरनरी सीट पे वो मतलब उस सीट पे मैं और मेरी वाइफ दोनों उस सीट पे हैं। वो स्टाफ को उसने कहा जी लीगल इलीगल है। कहता जो हो रहा है ये लीगल है? तो हमें चंडीगढ़ छोड़ के आए। बट टुडे नो वन कैन इवन इमेजिन, नो वन कैन इवन बिलीव इट कि दिल्ली में ये कुछ हो सकता है। दिल्ली में ये मेरा ख्याल आपको ध्यान होगा, जो डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की डॉटर ने एक बुक लिखी है, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह हाउस इन अशोक विहार वाज अटैक्ड बाय द मॉब। हिज सन इन लॉ इज अ हिंदू, he stood in front of the house, he said this house belongs to me. They took out the list कि ये लिस्ट में तो ये सरदार का घर है। What were those lists? वोटर लिस्ट में भी तो सिंह तो किसी का भी ना हो सकता है, किसी का भी हो सकता है। वो लिस्टें उन्होंने गुरुद्वारा कमेटी के इलेक्शन की लिस्टें निकाल के उनको दी। अब ये इतना दिमाग किसका चल सकता है? Then on 1st November the mob which came out on the streets, it had inflammable powder in it with them. वो पाउडर ऐसा था, उसको जब पैकेट में से निकाल के ऐसे फेंक दो तो यहाँ आग लग जाएगी। A untrained person will burn himself. It needs only a highly trained person to use that powder, and every mob had a person who was trained into that. Now how it is possible overnight? It was a pre-planned operation. Pre-planned not because of Mrs. Gandhi. Now everybody says, उनको क्या पता था Mrs. Gandhi को मार देंगे? It was later on. We were also wondering कि ये कैसे हो गया? Later on, somebody told us from a very reliable sources, somebody which we couldn't get hold of that man. They say this Operation Blue Star was earlier to be conducted around April. तो somebody goes and tells Mrs. Gandhi, पंजाब को में तो आप आर्मी लगा दोगे, पंजाब को तो कंट्रोल कर लोगे, अगर दिल्ली में सिख खड़े होगे दिल्ली को कैसे कंट्रोल करेंगे? सो दे पोस्टपोन्ड इट ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार, दे प्लान्ड दिस। इसका कोड कहीं पे आ रहा है, कहते कुछ ऑपरेशन शांति, कोई ऑपरेशन का नाम है ये फाइलों में, वो हम निकाल नहीं पाए। हमने बड़ी कोशिश की, लास्ट टाइम बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट में बड़ी कोशिश की कि इसको निकालो, मगर नो बॉडी वॉज प्रिपेयर्ड टू टेक दिस रिस्क। कहते तब ये प्लान हुआ था, और उसी पॉइंट टाइम का ये सारा मटेरियल एवरीथिंग वाज देयर। व्हेन मिसेस गांधी वाज असैसिनेटेड, दे पुट दैट प्लान इनटू एक्शन, बट दैट इज इट्स नॉट ऑथेंटिक, it is somebody told us, but there was definitely a lot of planning which had gone into it. So there was a lot of pressure to come back to Punjab, and we went to my wife's professors, and they say you come back, we'll give our job again. And so we came to Delhi to pick up our luggage and to wind up and pick up the luggage. This was around 21st, 22nd November. So when I was there in the High Court, some lawyers told me that lawyers are needed in the relief camps. मैं कहा मुझे बताओ, जितने दिन मैं जहाँ हूँ वहाँ चले जाया करूँगा, बताओ मुझे. So they sent me to Mr. Hardev Singh, senior advocate in Supreme Court. So I asked Hardev Singh, tell me where ये त्रिलोकपुरी के victim थे. There was hardly any family which had a surviving male member. They were all women and children. That relief camp was being taken care by, managed by the volunteers. There was the organization Nagrik Ekta Manch. These were the professors, journalists, they first tried to control the violence when they could not. So on 2nd November they formed this group to look after the relief camps. So volunteers from Nagrik Ekta Manch were there. So they asked me, they say, we need the services of a lawyer, very dire need of a services of a lawyer, and you should come more often. So that day I came back and I narrated the whole story to my wife. And I say, we have been lucky that at least we are alive, we haven't lost anything. Those people have lost everything. And they are still there and we are the one which is running away.
First Bazaar ya Shadra wala?
Shadra wala bhi. So I told my wife, if we run away now, probably will not be able to pardon or will repent whole of life. कि जहाँ पे जरूरत थी तो we were the one who is running away. So we decided to stay back. कि give it 6 months or a year, 6 महीने साल में जो हो जाएगा उसके बाद पंजाब उसके बाद सोच लेंगे जाने का. So from there I started visiting relief camps, and this was in first week of December that I did my first case in Delhi High Court.
We know a lot about the 84 violence in Delhi, but Sikhs were attacked elsewhere in India as well. So what happened to those cases? Were there any kind of closure, any kind of processes which were taken up?
After Delhi, the Kanpur was the worst affected. In Kanpur, the official figure of killings is 127. And then the third was Bokaro. The official figure of killing in Bokaro is 76. And so in Mishra Commission, Kanpur and Bokaro was also covered. And so our teams went to Kanpur and Bokaro also. Mishra Commission report deals with Kanpur and Bokaro. And but unfortunately after that, there was so much of work in Delhi. I couldn't go there. And those cases were not taken to any logical end. वो वहाँ पे बस almost खत्म ही हो गए cases.
Sir, it took 34 years for this judgment to come, and I'm sure in the middle you would have thought of giving up at times. What has kept you going in this fight so long?
The failures. Every failure used to infuse more energy, more energy that we need to work more hard. We need to work more hard. And I didn't want to give up with a failure. So that would mean that not only for me personally, but that would mean that there are people in this country who can just defeat the law, who can just play with the law, and they will go scot-free. That was a bigger concern.
Sir, it's been pointed out in both the 84 cases as well as the Gujarat cases that we've been able to pinpoint the charges on individuals who were rioters or who participated in riots, who killed, who were murderers, etc. But this institutional culpability, that's an aspect which has never been addressed really. That organizations or institutions which are supposed to uphold the rule of law, ensure that the rights didn't happen. Their failures were never addressed, or nobody heading those things were made culpable. So what exactly do you think is the reason?
You see, this is the most unfortunate. Each and every commission and committee, if you see, have mentioned about the role of the police. The police not only failed, the police actively participated, the police actively colluded with the rioters, and this has come out in each and every commission and committee report. But still nothing has happened to the police. The Kursam Mittal committee identified 72 police officers who had either played an active role or they were negligent, and recommended that 36 of them are not fit to be in service. They should be immediately dismissed without inquiry. But each one of this, all 72 got 2 to 3 promotion. And among those 36 were the officers who retired at the top level, special commissioner, joint commissioner. Unfortunately, that has been the state of affairs.
So is this a failure of the law, or what exactly is the...
It is actually not saying that only the failure of the judicial system will not be proper. It is a failure of the system, failure of the whole system.
Sir, any plan to like fast track case against this titler, or you are going to move any application to reopen the case against Kamal?
No, against Jagdish Titler, the CBI has given clean chit to him 3 times. All 3 times it was rejected by the court. All 3 times. Now the 3rd time when the court rejected it, the court decided to monitor it also. So now the CBI is investigating. This was in 4th December 2015 when this clean chit was rejected. Now this was given in December 2014. Mind it, December 2014 when the NDA was in power. The court rejected on 4th December 2015 and directed the CBI to conclude the investigation in 2 months. It's been now 4 years. This over 3 years now. The CBI has still not concluded the investigation. Now, fast track will only go after the charge sheet is filed. Now, at this stage, it is we will impress upon the CBI to, in fact, to conclude the investigation. Now, you need to fast track the investigation, not the trial. That is, it's far away. CBI will file the charge sheet. Now, as far as the Kamal Nath is concerned, the case is not even registered yet. So we are now, in fact, I have asked the Gurdwara committee. This because the Gurdwara was set on fire. So the complainant becomes it is only the complainant who can go. I, as a lawyer, I only appear for the complainant. I am not a petitioner or not a complainant in any of the cases throughout. I render my legal advice. I appear for the complainants. So here the complainant is the Delhi Gurdwara Management Committee. And Delhi Gurdwara Management Committee, I have already drafted a complaint and sent it to them. Now they have to file it with this SIT. This has to go to the SIT which is constituted by the central government, because the Supreme Court SIT is only for those 186 cases. It cannot take up any case on their own. The SIT which is appointed by the central government, that is the SIT which will take up this Kamal Nath case, and I have sent it to the Gurdwara committee to approach the SIT and to give the representation to the Home Minister that Kamal Nath role should be inquired into.
Sir, do you expect an apology from the Congress? And what should that apology comprise according to you?
You see, the point is, any government in whose rule or who has failed to save and protect the life and liberty of the citizens, it's the government's responsibility. We are a welfare state. It is the responsibility of the government to protect the life and liberty of a citizen. Any government who has failed, that government owes an apology to the nation and as well as to the victims. Congress was in power at that time. Congress owes an apology, and that apology should be a sincere apology. Apology does not mean you just give the apology, then you reward those people who were involved, who conducted it.
Within 4 weeks or 6 weeks of the anti-Sikh riots, the Congress won, I think, 404, 405 seats. How did that derail or how did that affect justice? Did that play a role in the... What?
Definitely, because the coming with such a thumping majority, I mean, it had such a power that it didn't bother about any opposition party, any opposition leader, any leader of any other party. I mean, it didn't bother at all. Had it been, if the opposition had a sizable number of people in the parliament, probably they could have forced and impressed upon the government the way they did it in 2005. When in 2005, Nanavati report was placed in the House. Nanavati had recommended registration of case against Sajjan Kumar and Jagdish Tractor. Had it been in 1984, if the opposition had a sizable number in the parliament, probably the things would have been different.
So the other thing I also want to ask you, in 2002 Gujarat riots, we saw the Supreme Court stepping in and taking the top 8 or 9 cases that constituted more than 600 deaths, 400 to 600 deaths, and said that, and it played a very strong role. It said, move it out of the state. It said, we will monitor the case. We didn't see a similar Supreme Court response after 84. Why do you think that was the case?
Supreme Court did not respond at all. In 84, we had, I am sorry to say, I am admitting it with the full sense of responsibility as a lawyer, we had a very bad experience with the judiciary. There were only a few judges like Justice Tingra who convicted the people. Otherwise, in spite of such a strong evidence, the courts were acquitting. It was taken as if a normal case. Now Justice Geeta Mittal, she has reopened those 5 cases. And what are those 5 cases? The eyewitnesses are not even examined. In a span of 2 months, the trial is concluded. Eyewitnesses not even examined. And all the accused are acquitted. No, in Sajjan Kumar's case, the accused cited that judgment in their favor. So when the Geeta Mittal and the other judge, Anu Malhotra, when they saw this, they say, Sheikhs are conscious. What is happening in this country? Eyewitnesses are not even produced. In a span of 2-3 months, the trial is concluded and all accused are acquitted. So she decided to reopen those cases and has issued the show cause notice. So that was the first time we had seen a proactive judiciary. The second was this constitution of SIT. Otherwise, the judiciary has not played any role, active role towards this. Rather, we had a very, very bad experience. In 1990, Sajjan Kumar was arrested by the CBI in the morning at 6:45. At 10:30, High Court is granting anticipatory bail. This is the kind of thing we have been seeing. After arrest, anticipatory bail is not heard of. It cannot be. And the judge has the audacity to write in the order, registrar is directed to call up the CBI at the house of Sajjan Kumar and ask them to release Sajjan Kumar. And the judge knows that 6:45 CBI is reached there. And the judge knows it that the mob is holding CBI team there, not allowing him to go. But then also the High Court judge is granting anticipatory bail. This is the kind of things we have been facing. So, unfortunately, we had a bad experience with the judiciary as well.
In terms of the 3 witnesses who were key in the Sajjan Kumar conviction, so how difficult was it to keep them going? Because it would have been a very long journey for them. So just your experiences with these 3 people, and it's been a very long and tumultuous journey. So just your interactions with them.
One of the witnesses among them had spent 9 years into jail because right from day 1, she was insisting on prosecution of Sajjan Kumar. She spent 9 years in jail. So she is the one who was not afraid at all. And others were also not. But the main thing was to provide them the security. One is that the CBI's team gave them lot of encouragement, gave them lot of confidence that we are there. We are there. Secondly, the special public prosecutor also says, I am there for you. Then thirdly, on the CBI's recommended to the court that they should be provided the security, and we got them the security from Punjab police. So they were always they were always having the security guards with them, and it was from the Punjab police. And then we also kept them at a secure place here in Delhi.
Thank you so much, Phoolka sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for giving me this opportunity, and thanks a lot for